The tension in the studio was palpable as Meghan Markle faced off against the panel of The View in what would become one of the most explosive interviews in daytime television history. The morning had started like any other, with Meghan arriving for what was supposed to be a routine promotional interview about her humanitarian work. However, the atmosphere shifted immediately when Whoopi Goldberg opened with a direct question about Meghan's selective approach to interviews. Meghan, maintaining a composed smile, responded by emphasizing the importance of productive and meaningful conversations, but the panel wasn't letting her off that easily. Joy Behar leaned forward, her skepticism evident as she pointed out that Meghan seemed to avoid certain topics, particularly her relationship with the royal family. Meghan countered by saying boundaries shouldn't be mistaken for avoidance, but Sunny Hostin quickly jumped in, questioning whether those boundaries were a form of selective transparency. The audience murmured as the tone grew increasingly confrontational, with Sunny pressing Meghan on how she addressed critics who accused her of controlling the narrative. Meghan's posture stiffened, her jaw tightening slightly, as she defended her right to protect her own story. Sarah Haynes, usually the voice of diplomacy, tried to steer the conversation toward the balance between privacy and public life, noting Meghan's choice to step into certain spotlights while avoiding others. Meghan agreed, stating she preferred using her platform for causes rather than tabloid gossip. But Alyssa Farah Griffin seized the moment, asking whether Meghan had a responsibility to address all aspects of her public life, given her large platform. The question hung in the air like a challenge, and Meghan's media-trained composure began to waver as she argued she wasn't obligated to satisfy everyone's curiosity. Whoopi Goldberg nodded thoughtfully but pressed further, asking when Meghan's personal stories became fair game for follow-up questions. Meghan responded sharply, saying sharing her truth didn't mean relitigating every detail for entertainment. Joy Behar's eyebrows shot up at the word entertainment, retorting that people were looking for consistency, not amusement. The audience fell silent as Meghan's calm demeanor cracked, her voice rising slightly as she accused the panel of misunderstanding her boundaries. Sunny Hostin, leveraging her legal background, pointed out that when Meghan's experiences involved public figures and institutions, they became matters of public interest. Meghan's voice sharpened as she shot back, calling her statements lived experiences, not allegations. The panel exchanged glances, sensing they'd struck a nerve, and Whoopi tried to diffuse the tension by acknowledging Meghan's right to share her story. But Meghan, now visibly agitated, accused the panel of turning the conversation into an interrogation rather than a respectful discussion. Alyssa Farah Griffin countered, saying public discourse meant people would naturally want to explore the doors Meghan herself had opened. Meghan's eyes flashed with anger as she insisted she could control how she responded to invasive questioning. Joy Behar, never one to back down, fired back, accusing Meghan of understanding television ratings better than anyone, given her numerous high-profile interviews. Meghan's face flushed, and she snapped that her appearances were about advocacy, not ratings. A claim Joy met with raised eyebrows. Sunny Hostin interjected again, noting the exponential amplification of Meghan's voice due to her royal connections. Meghan argued that the media had ignored her advocacy work until it could be tied to royal drama, but Sarah Haynes tried to mediate, suggesting both truths could coexist. Meghan, however, wasn't having it, her voice growing louder as she accused the panel of painting her as an opportunist. Behind the cameras, crew members shifted uncomfortably as the confrontation escalated. Alyssa pressed further, questioning how Meghan expected people to interpret her signing major media deals immediately. After leaving royal duties, Meghan stood slightly, her voice nearing a shout as she defended her choices, citing the harassment and family betrayal she'd endured. Joy Behar then brought up Meghan's public criticism of her own family, asking when she'd take responsibility for those fractured relationships. The question seemed to hit a deep nerve, and Meghan's face cycled through shock, anger, and hurt. Whoopi attempted to calm things, suggesting Meghan take a step back, but Meghan refused, standing up and accusing the panel of attacking her under the guise of professionalism. Joy shot back that if Meghan couldn't handle tough questions, she shouldn't do interviews, a comment that made Meghan point directly at her and snap about being judged by those who'd never walked in her shoes. The studio fell into stunned silence as Meghan's voice shook with emotion. Sunny tried to intervene, suggesting a commercial break, but Meghan dismissed the idea, saying she was tired of being told to calm down, while others dismissed her perspective. Sarah Haynes offered a conciliatory tone, but Meghan laughed bitterly, calling the interview a setup designed to humiliate her for ratings. Alyssa, losing patience, retorted that The View was known for tough questions and accused Meghan of expecting softball treatment. Meghan's voice rose to a scream as she accused the panel of personal attacks disguised as journalism. Whoopi stood, demanding Meghan lower her voice. But Meghan shouted back that maybe people needed to see what happened when someone spoke their truth. Joy threw her hands up, asking about other people's truth, prompting Meghan to crack, her voice breaking as she defended her right to defend herself. Sunny pointed out the consequences of Meghan's public statements, but Meghan spun around, gesturing wildly as she shouted about the consequences of staying silent. When Alyssa mentioned scrutiny over her racism claims, Meghan accused the panel of character assassination. Producers frantically signaled as security moved closer, and Whoopi declared the interview over, calling it unproductive. Meghan grabbed her purse, declaring she was done with such treatment, and security began escorting her off. As she was led away, she continued shouting about media bias, her voice echoing through the studio. The panel sat in stunned silence before Whoopi addressed the camera, promising to return after a break. The interview, meant to rehabilitate Meghan's image, had instead devolved into a viral meltdown. The confrontation revealed a side of Meghan rarely seen, raw, unfiltered, and defensive. Her inability to handle the panel's probing questions contrasted sharply with her usual polished demeanor. Critics argued the hosts were doing their job, while supporters claimed Meghan was unfairly ganged up on. Either way, the explosive exchange became instant fodder for public debate. Meghan's accusation that the interview was a setup resonated with some viewers who saw the panel as overly aggressive. Others felt her reaction proved long-standing criticisms about her thin skin. The hosts, meanwhile, stood by their questions, with Joy Behar later stating they'd merely held Meghan accountable. The fallout was immediate, with clips of the interview spreading across social media. Pundits dissected every moment, from Meghan's raised voice to her dramatic exit. Some applauded her for standing her ground, while others called it a PR disaster. The panel's unified front against Meghan's defensiveness became a talking point in itself. Behind the scenes, reports suggested Meghan's team was furious, accusing The View of ambushing her. The show's producers denied this, pointing to Meghan's history of handling tough interviews. Regardless, the damage was done. The interview became a defining moment in Meghan's post-royal media narrative. In the days that followed, Meghan's supporters and detractors clashed online. Some argued the panel's questions were fair, while others accused them of bullying. The interview's viral nature ensured it dominated headlines, overshadowing the humanitarian work Meghan had intended to promote. The incident also reignited debates about media treatment of women, particularly those who speak out against powerful institutions. Meghan's claim that she was being attacked resonated with many who saw gendered double standards at play. Others, however, felt her status demanded accountability. The panel's refusal to back down, even as Meghan grew emotional, was seen by some as journalistic rigor and by others as cruelty. Sunny Hostin's legalistic probing and Joy Behar's bluntness were particularly divisive, with viewers split on whether they'd gone too far. Meghan's reference to her children, a rare, emotional appeal, added another layer to the debate. While some sympathized, others questioned whether she was using them to deflect criticism. The moment underscored how deeply personal the conflict had become. The interview's abrupt end, with security intervening, was unprecedented for daytime TV. It raised questions about how far talk shows should push guests and where the line between hard-hitting journalism and sensationalism lies. In the aftermath, The View saw a ratings spike, while Meghan's team reportedly reconsidered future media appearances. The clash became a case study in the risks of live television and the perils of mixing personal grievances with public platforms. Ultimately, the interview did little to resolve the controversy surrounding Meghan. Instead, it amplified them, proving that even without royal titles, she remained a lightning rod for debate. The panel's relentless questioning and Meghan's fiery response ensured the segment would be dissected for years. Whether seen as a justified challenge or a targeted takedown, the interview marked a turning point in Meghan's media strategy. It also reinforced The View's reputation for unfiltered debate, for better or worse. As clips continued circulating, one thing was clear. This was daytime TV at its most explosive.